Okay, so now that we're ready to do a practice problem, I'm going to take 1 minute and read from top to bottom on this class example. As you're reading, underline givens and unknowns. So 1 minute, read for yourself. Okay, so hopefully you've noticed that this information, although interesting and maybe could have been valuable, turns out it wasn't. All the information that's valuable is down here. And so this information is what I saw. So the P, the pressure, was equal to 988 torr, temperature 28 degrees Celsius, volume 40 liters. N, it says, is actually what we're trying to calculate. So what I see here is there's a pressure, but there's only one pressure. So the pressure didn't change. There aren't two temperatures either. The temperature didn't change, the volume didn't change. So that makes me know for sure I'm not dealing with P1 V1 over T1. Actually, I'm definitely dealing with PV equals nRT. And so if this is our equation, the only variable that I don't have here is N, but I know I'm trying to find that, and R. And R, as we wrote down before, is always the same. It's always that first number that's next to R. It's 0.0821. And so that's the number we're going to use there. The last thing that we have to think about before we plug it into this equation is we just spent some time thinking, okay, the units for R are liters, ATM, over Kelvin, moles. So, are all of these units correct? And you should recognize that no, they're not. And so I'm going to give you 1 minute. Convert all of these units into the correct units by yourself. 1 minute to do that. Convert the units to the correct units. Okay, so let's come back together and move on from here. What I saw was pressure was in torr, and so I converted it to ATM just like we were doing back in the catalyst. Temperature is a different type of conversion. You actually just had to add 273. Volume was already in the correct units, and R can never really be wrong because this is actually what we're trying to match our units to. And so now that we have this, it's time to put this into our equation, which I erased, unfortunately, so why don't I write that again up here. PV equals nRT. So P's up first, pressure is this first one right here, 1.3 atm. Volume is down here, that's 40.0 liters, is equal to, and the N is what we're trying to find. The R, I'm going to have to scroll over. It's far enough. The R is 0.0821. And the K, actually, you know what? Why don't I put those units in? Don't want to get in the habit. Liters ATM over Kelvin mole. And then the K was 301 Kelvin. So at this point, your math skills are much better, and you can all solve this algebra on your own. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. Find N. I'm going to be doing it on the board, but I'm just going to stop talking now. So you solve for N, and in 1 minute we'll come back together and check our answers. Okay, so hopefully you've solved this by now. So give me your attention back up here. When you do all this math, so I simplified this first and then this. Simplifying over here, we've got 24.71. I divided to cancel that out and get my N by itself. And then I did the same over here, divided by 24.71. My answer was 2.104. I need two significant figures because this number right here is the fewest number of significant figures in the question, and so that makes this answer 2.1 moles. That's what N equals. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down so that we can go to our next problem here. And so this problem, I'm going to give you 4 minutes to solve it, and then we'll come back together and check the answer. So here are the directions. With the person who you are sitting next to, only the person you are sitting next to, solve this problem. You have 4 minutes. I'll change the time up here and I'll let you know. And then at 4 minutes we'll check. I'm going to pause this right now so I can get a better idea of my time. Okay, so as maybe you could have seen too, I don't want to let this run for 4 minutes. So if the substitute could please pause this video for 4 minutes, let everybody work on this problem together, and then in 4 minutes start playing it again from here, and I'll put the answer up on the board. So 4 minutes, pause this video and solve this problem right here with your partner. Okay, so what I did was write out my variables. Hopefully, one of the hardest parts to remember, but hopefully you realized, was you've got some units that are not correct. The temperature is the first one. It has to be in Kelvin, so you add 273 and it equals 298 Kelvin. And for torr, it has to be in ATM, so 760 torr, 1 ATM. Do the math, and that should be 0.488 ATM. Okay, so down here I've got our problem set up already, and what I did was I simplified all of this, and that comes out to 6.116 moles, liters, ATM, Kelvin, moles. Moles cancel, Kelvin cancels, and that is equal to 0.488 ATM V. And I want V by itself, so I divide by 0.488 ATM. That cancels out. ATM cancels out, and so my answer is going to be in liters, which makes sense because it's what I was trying to find, was volume. So the volume equals 12.53 liters, and I need two significant figures, so the answer, the volume of this gas, is 13 liters. So right now, what you're going to do is solve 4 problems. Well, there's 5, but the first one's not really even a full problem, that the substitute has either handed out already or hopefully will hand out. The answer key is with the substitute, so you may check them, although don't overwhelm them with people running up. Just raise your hand. And you can check your answers against the answer key. But right now you are working only with the person who you are sitting next to. So I'm going to give you the rest of the class, which should be about 20, maybe 15 minutes, to solve those problems and hand them in before you leave. If you do not hand it in before you leave, you're going to have to hold on to it until I get back. Okay, so right now, work with the person next to you for the rest of the period to solve those 5 problems.